What's going on, everybody? It's Marty and I'm back with another video. Now, a few days ago, I posted a video giving you 5 tips on how to become a better wedding filmmaker. One of those tips included capturing good audio. Now, what I didn't tell you in that video was exactly how to go about it. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to go about capturing the best audio possible in the worst case scenario. Now, I live in an area where I'm close to the beaches, and most of the wedding jobs that I get are going to be on the beach. And I had to learn quickly how to get the best audio possible under these terrible scenarios. Now, while the beach is beautiful and all, we have to deal with Mother Nature. And most of you can already imagine what that is. Typically on the beach, you're going to be fighting with a lot of wind in most cases because there aren't a lot of large buildings to kind of deflect that wind or areas that will reduce it. And the other issue are a lot of splashing waves. It can be very difficult to capture the audio the way you would like it to be captured. Now, the wireless microphone system that I use are the Sennheiser EW100G3 model. Now, what I'm about to show you are principles that can be applied to any decent wireless microphone system. So don't stress if you don't have this particular model. This technique can be used across the board. First, I want to show you 2 clips. The first clip is just going to include audio from the on-camera Rode video mics with a dead cat muff on it. The second clip is actually going to be unedited audio from the wireless lapel mics that I just mentioned.
I beg you, Daniela, to be my wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, for now and forever. This is
I, Keith,
take you, Daniela,
take you, Daniela,
to be my wife,
to be my wife,
to have and to hold
to have and to hold
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer, for poor,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
for now and forever.
for now and forever.
While this is a difficult situation in order to try to capture audio, it's not impossible. And if you take the right approach to making sure that your settings are dialed in properly on your wireless system, you can achieve incredible results every time. In fact, once I found these settings, I have actually left my wireless microphone set to these specific settings for every wedding. Now, there are some features that you will have to do repeatedly each time you set up your wireless microphones. But for the most part, you probably won't have to do any adjustments once you get the first initial setup in place. Okay, let's get into what you actually need to do in order to capture incredible audio. Now, in all cases, when you're outside and you're dealing with elements like a beach scenario, always use a windscreen or some type of wind muff that will actually cover the microphone. This will help diffract the wind and you will not get a lot of that ruffling noise that is typical from not using a windscreen. The second thing I'm going to recommend is that under all circumstances, turn on all of your wireless microphones that you have and scan for open frequencies in that area. This will eliminate any type of interference that may occur from other individuals using wireless systems nearby. Once you've done those 2 things, that should be a common practice for any setup whenever you plan to use wireless microphones. Now what we're going to do is focus in on the settings within the wireless units themselves. The first one we're going to talk about is the input. The input setting is referred to as the sensitivity. Now this serves 2 purposes. Obviously it serves the purpose for allowing audio levels to enter the microphone, but also the sensitivity of the levels of the microphone itself. Typical microphones on a wireless system like this can only allow for so much level on the input stage. That's why it's referred to as a sensitivity. Because if you reach a level that is too loud on the sensitivity, you can actually add distortion to the microphone itself, even though your output meters may not be clipping on your HD device. So setting the sensitivity level becomes very important. Here is what I typically do in all cases. For a groom, I will typically set my sensitivity level somewhere around -24 dB, thus reducing the overall amount of input level going into the microphone. And in this case, this dB level actually prevents my audio from ever peaking in the microphone in all cases. I've never had a groom speak loud enough to actually peak this -24 dB level, so I get no distortion on the input of the microphone itself. Now, if you're using the same kind of microphone system for the efficient, I typically go even lower to perhaps a negative 30 dB level on the sensitivity, because I typically understand that most efficients are going to be a little bit louder than the actual bride or groom. The next thing that you want to pay attention to is something that's referred to as the squelch level. A lot of people don't understand specifically what the squelch level represents, and I'm going to tell you that now. The squelch level refers to something that's commonly known as a noise gate. In this case, depending on how you have the squelch level set, it will try to determine what sounds it should accept and what sounds it shouldn't accept. That's kind of how a noise gate works when you're talking about audio. So my suggestion is to keep the squelch at the lowest setting possible and not high. Because if you keep it at a high setting, what's happening is the squelch is going to try and let in the loudest sounds and going to try really hard to eliminate sounds in the distance. Now that can create a problem if the groom or the bride should all of a sudden maybe get choked up and start to speak a little softer. The squelch level set at a high level will not allow the system within the lapel microphone to recognize if that is a voice in the distance or if that is the actual upfront voice that you're trying to capture. So my recommendation is keep that squelch level set to low. So that way you won't have the problem of the wireless microphone trying to determine if that is a distant noise or an up close noise. Now the next area I want to talk about is the output level on the receiver. Here is where you can make up that gain loss that you staged in the beginning by using a negative 24 dB or negative 30 dB depending on which one of those settings for the groom or efficient that you're speaking of. And what I have found to be a very comfortable dB output level is somewhere around the negative 24 dB level. Now I do understand that it looks like we have decreased all of the dB levels within the wireless microphones themselves, but you have to understand when you're dealing with a system, especially like the Sennheiser system, it has a very strong output, and therefore you can reduce these levels to kind of help you better capture your audio. So by reducing the output level to somewhere around that minus 24, maybe minus 30 dB, it depends on how much output you want to actually get based on the recording device that you're going into. Now my last and final concept is the hard disk recorder itself. Now I'm using the Zoom H4n, which is a pretty good recorder. What I generally recommend, if you've used these previous settings that I've just talked about, my suggestion is, or depending on whatever system you're using, my suggestion is that when you set up your input levels for your HD recorder, you try to stage your input somewhere between negative 24 and negative 12 actually on the HD recorder itself. If you stay within those ranges, it is not likely that you will have any clipping incidents on your hard disk recorder. Now, if you follow the suggestions that I gave you on the input stage with sensitivity, with the squelch levels and your output levels, I can almost guarantee that you will have no distortion or any peaking anywhere along your mic chain. Even if your efficient or your groom gets extremely loud at one point where they might laugh or something like that, I can almost promise you with these settings, you will not have any problems with distortion or clipping. Okay, that's my advice for today. I'm hoping maybe you'll go out and test this theory out and see if you can capture even better audio than what you've been capturing. That's it for me in this video. I hope these tips will help you go out and capture better audio. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you thought this video was helpful to you, go ahead and hit the like button for me. So until the next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.